Thank you for joining us for this Pima Community College Governing Board Candidate Forum. My name is Nancy Hand, and I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson. The League of Women Voters is an all-volunteer, nonpartisan organization. We do not support or oppose political parties or candidates at any level of government. Our mission is to empower voters and encourage active, informed participation in government. We envision a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate, and where every eligible citizen is registered, informed on all candidates and issues, and votes. Toward that end, since 1920, the League has provided education and advocacy on issues of the day. The purpose of this forum is for audience members to hear directly from the candidates for the Pima Community College Governing Board on important issues facing the Pima College community. Our objective here tonight is to provide a fair and neutral forum for the civil and thoughtful exchange of ideas. With that, I will turn it over to our moderator for this evening's forum, Dee Maitland.
Welcome. I'm Dee Maitland, and I will be your moderator this afternoon. I'm assisted behind the scenes today by Sue DeArmond, who put this event together and will be the timer for the candidates. Barbara Becker and Paula Arnquist will be handling audience questions, and I'll tell you how to do that later. And a special thanks to Jeremy Brittle, our tech guru extraordinaire, who we couldn't do without. The League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson is honored to host this forum with the candidates running for Pima Community College Governing Board. The college is governed by a 5-member board representing each county electoral district. The board determines the mission, sets goals for the college, and selects the administrative head, the chancellor. Members are elected to serve a 6-year term. There are 2 open seats this election cycle representing districts 2 and 4. The election is nonpartisan, with this time 2 candidates competing in each district. First, of course, a little housekeeping. The audience will be muted throughout the event, and the candidates are asked to keep all campaign paraphernalia out of the camera view and to keep pets, family members, and others from interrupting. Unauthorized videos or recording are not allowed in order to ensure that information is not manipulated to create false impressions. No candidate is allowed to use or edit a portion of the forum video for campaign purposes. The League claims copyright ownership of any electoral material or transcripts. Okay, let's begin. The format will be as follows. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. The audience may submit questions via Zoom going to the Q&A function at any time, and they will be transmitted to me, and I will ask them for you. Candidates will be given 90 seconds to answer each question, and I will vary the order that candidates answer so each one gets to be first and last in order. Closing statements will be 1 minute, and the total forum length will be 50 minutes, ending promptly at 5:50. Now let's meet the candidates. District 2 covers downtown Tucson. The 2 candidates are Damian Klinko, the incumbent, and Teresa Real, who taught math at PCC for 23 years. District 4 covers Eastern Pima County. The 2 candidates are Greg Taylor and Nick Pearson. The candidates will now have 2 minutes each to introduce themselves. Mr. Klinko, you may start with your opening statement.
Good evening. I'm Damian Klinko. You know, America is better off when we have a strong and prosperous middle class. The way to get there is through affordable, top-notch public education. That's why the mission of Pima Community College is so important. When the college prepares students for good paying careers, which are critical to Southern Arizona's economy, lives are changed. I was born in Tucson and I grew up with dyslexia, a learning disability that made reading and writing incredibly hard. In high school, I was the beneficiary of Pima College's dual enrollment program, which allowed students to earn college credit while taking high school classes. When I went to college out of state, this allowed me to save a year of tuition. When I came back to help with my family's small business, I quickly understood just how important PCC is to Southern Arizona, to individuals looking to advance in good careers, and businesses hiring skilled workers. Our family company takes care of elders in their homes, and many of our team are CNAs who graduated from PCC or who are currently taking classes in nursing or other careers in healthcare. While I was serving in the Arizona State Legislature, PCC became mired in scandal and faced the loss of its accreditation. I was appointed to the board to help clean things up and ran for re-election, serving a first 6-year term, 4 of those years serving as the chair of the board. What I quickly realized, it wasn't just about fixing Pima College to help students in Southern Arizona, but an opportunity to revolutionize the college into a 21st century workforce engine that through strategic alignment with our industries could create relevant programs that lead to high-paying jobs and transform the economic future of Southern Arizona. That meant investing in state-of-the-art facilities, centers of excellence in allied health, advanced manufacturing, advanced automotive, aerospace, and more, while all at the same time cleaning up our transfer programs to align with U of A, NAU, and ASU so students in Southern Arizona can have affordable, accessible options. I'm proud of the work we've done over the last 7 years, but we're not done yet. I ask for your vote this November to help us finish this urgent mission.
Thank you so much. Oops, I have to unmute. Oh, just a minute. I tried to unmute myself. Just a minute. Words of the century. Mr. Pearson, you may not go next. Mr. Pearson, I apologize. We cannot hear you. You're not unmuted. We're going to give you a chance to start again. Jeremy, can you unmute Mr. Pearson?
No, I cannot.
Okay. Okay. Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that. I'll be brief. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to appear here in Tucson to the voters. I have a world of experience to contribute to this important position. Certainly, Pima College is a gateway for many of our young adults and adult learners to advance their careers and improve their opportunities for increasing their income. There are a number of concerns that the college has that need to be addressed, and you need to have a balance on the board so that the needs of the students and the community are properly addressed. I plan on working very hard. My experiences in the community have prepared me for this role. I've worked on the Fox Tucson Theater Board for many years, and the theater is in a better place because of my contributions. So this is an important role. I'm going to be working very hard to improve the college and to make sure that we attract more students, and that the mission of the college, where we have an affordable education for everyone in the community, and have that as a goal that we accomplish. And so I ask for everybody's support in this mission. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Rial, you are next.
Hi, my name is Teresa Riel, and I am a mom, an educator, a community activist, and a lifelong learner. I taught for 33 and a half years in Southern Arizona. The last 23 of those, I taught mathematics at the East Campus of Pima College. I'm going to bring a unique perspective to the board on 3 different fronts. One, I actually worked in Pima College for quite a few years. I taught classes, obviously. I worked on college initiatives. I was on many college-wide committees. I developed curriculum and programs at the college with the help of my fellow colleagues and faculty and staff. I know what works at the college, and I can tell you that when initiatives and when programs work, it's because faculty and staff work together with the college administration to bring all of our unique knowledge to the group to make sure that the decisions being made are the best for teaching and learning at the college. Number 2, I'm a math person. I will be bringing my mathematical knowledge and skills to board meetings. I will be looking at the materials and the presentations that the college gives the board, and I will be viewing it critically with a critical eye to make sure that I am aware of what the college is saying, and I'll also share that information with the other board members. And number 3, I'm not a career politician. I am a community-minded person. In November, PCCEA, the faculty union at the college, called me up and asked me to run for the seat 2 for the college board because they needed someone who supported teaching and learning and who would respect and value employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Taylor, you're up last.
Thank you so much. My name is Greg Taylor, and I'm running for the Pima Community College Board to make sure that the college stays affordable, accessible, and accountable. And for anyone willing to work hard, PCC is really the ladder up to a better life. It's the heart of our economy in Southern Arizona, and it creates a skilled workforce that helps us attract new businesses and jobs to the region. I've been in Tucson's business community for over a decade. I've had the privilege to lead the board at the Children's Museum, and I'm currently the board chair of the American Heart Association. But higher education for me is something that's deeply personal. I grew up very close with my grandfather, who was part of a blue-collar immigrant family. He was a U.S. Marine. He spent his career in road construction, and he encouraged my mom to become the first person in that part of our family to go to college. And I saw the difference that it made in her life, the opportunities that it created for her. I'm proud to say that he lived long enough to see me attend Stanford, where I graduated with honors. It's something I know he was deeply proud of. I'm a father of 4, and I want to make sure that the opportunities that higher education creates by, again, keeping the college affordable, accessible, and accountable are available for my kids and the kids of anyone that lives in this region, so that they can bring themselves out of poverty, they can set themselves up for careers and have a meaningful life in the community. And the college is the conduit for that. We have to make sure that it remains as strong as it can possibly be to serve the entirety of this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Oops. It's so nice to meet all 4 of you. I'm sure everybody's glad to be here. I'll start out the questions. And as you know, you're going to have 90 seconds each to answer them. And the first question I'll ask is, discuss the number 1 concern facing the board. And we'll begin with Mr. Pearson. And unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. The most important function facing the board right now, is that your question?
Yes,
So
it is.
So in the public view right now, there's certain things in the public eye relative to some dysfunction on the board. So I think that is a concern. I'm one of the few candidates that can be a bridge for that particular situation. So that is one area, and the other area would be recruitment. So the board needs to work together to increase the enrollment in the community college. So I think those are the two main things.
Ms. Riel, what do you think the one most important thing is for the board to tackle?
I think how the board gets along is faulty currently. The fact that on all sorts of important decisions, especially to do with the mathematics, I've only seen one question about the math that is presented to the board. And in the last numerous board meetings that I've watched on YouTube, recorded board meetings. And I think the problem with that is that if the board is not understanding the numbers, or if they don't see the errors in the graphs and the data that's presented to them, they're possibly making decisions based on inaccurate mathematical understanding. And I don't think it's really the board's fault. I do think that it's the materials that are presented to the board members. I would also like to second what Nick has mentioned about enrollment. Enrollment went down 41% since 2014, huge number. The college is saying now that enrollment has gone up 10%. 41% of a huge number is large. It's in the tens of thousands. And a 10% increase of a small number is small. It's around 1,500 students if we're counting that by head count. So when mathematics is given like that, unless people understand what the numbers actually mean, it can be dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do like the math. All right, Mr. Taylor, what is your one concern, major concern facing the board?
Absolutely. I think the board's number one issue that they're dealing with right now, I agree, is enrollment. But the issue at hand is really making sure that the board doesn't get in the way of the momentum that the college has to be able to deal with that issue. If you think back to the accessible, accountable, and affordable, the college has to be accountable to students to offer programs that they want. And whether you look at the increasing enrollments in the dual enrollment programs at the high school level that helps drive students to the college, or whether you look at all the career and technical programs in aerospace and air conditioning repair and automotive repair and the healthcare center of excellence on the horizon, the college is putting together desirable programs that students want to enroll in. And you saw the first glimpse of what that can mean with the recent enrollment increases. There needs to be more of that, absolutely. And so continuing the momentum in the direction the college has of building programs that help students attain careers for themselves is the key to getting out of that hole. And we have to keep going in the direction we're going.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Klinko, you've been on the board, so you probably have a strong opinion about what the number one concern is.
Thank you very much. Yes, enrollment is critical to the future of Pima Community College. In 2015, the state of Arizona cut state aid to the college, which means that the college relies on only two buckets of funding. It's tuition and the tax base. The enrollment is tied to the success of the institution. The higher the enrollment, the more resources there are. The college was facing a fiscal cliff 2 years ago, and the board, under my leadership, took immediate action. To the voters, we put a proposition which allowed an expenditure increase, which allowed us to make strategic investments into faculty pay, into staff pay. Just this year, because of those decisions that were made over a long horizon, we were able to provide over 7% raises to all faculty and staff on average. Because the faculty and the staff and the administration of the institution are its most important resource. Because without them, we don't have student success. At the end of the day, I'm committed to a premier institution, to Pima College being one of the best community colleges in the country. And we do that through investing in the best staff, building the very best facilities possible. That's what the Centers of Excellence are about. They're about creating opportunities for students who want to enroll into programs so there are high-paying jobs at the end. Everything and all of the decisions that have been made over the last few years are strategically driven by increasing enrollment. And we're starting to see the dividends, although slowly. And don't forget, we're just coming out of a massive global pandemic.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to a question from the audience. It is, for the past several years, PCC employee satisfaction surveys have shown worsening faculty and staff morale related to lack of inclusion in decision-making and failure to meet employee needs. What will you do to fix this? And we will begin with Ms. Rial.
So having been a faculty for many years, I remember the highs and the lows when it's really good at the college. It's a wonderful place to work. And when you're feeling unloved and not cared for by the board and the administration, it's hard to be happy about working there. I would like to point out that there were 549 full-time employees, faculty and staff at the college that received a $3,000 pay raise on July 2nd of this year. So that average of 7%, doing the math, you know, if that's 7%, they're making in the low, you know, $20,000, $30,000. If a 3,000, well, actually, we'll have to do that math again, but I'm a little, but it's not, it didn't even meet the cost of living. So 549 full-time faculty and staff don't feel the love coming from the college because their pay raise was not sufficient. The college board meetings, there have been faculty members that have spoken at the board meetings about things that are not acceptable, the transparency of the college. There are dozens of people who have put grievances against those pay raises because of the way the raises were given. It wasn't clear cut. And so people aren't even sure why they got the raise they did and why they didn't get a higher raise.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, you get to answer this loaded question.
Thank you. You know, I think it's very true, and that more needs to be done to engage faculty and staff. You know, one of the great strengths of Pima Community College is that it's essentially a cluster of, you know, really highly educated knowledge workers, and so there's all sorts of ways that they can contribute to the leadership of the college. And you know, I'm really proud to say that the Pima Community College Education Association endorsed me in this race, because I want to make sure that those folks have a strong voice at the table so they can be part of shaping policies and the approach and the future of the college. Pay is a huge issue. You know, I applaud the direction the college has been going. The 7% pay increase is a great start, just like the enrollment increase is a great start, but there's more to be done. And I think the great travesty here is something that Damien mentioned a minute ago, that the state funding for Pima Community College has never been restored since the Great Recession. And when you have an institution like a community college that's built on three financial legs, property taxes, tuition, and state funding, when you take one of those legs out, there's only so much the college can do without having that state funding restored. And every other community college except for Pima and Maricopa in the state of Arizona has that state funding restored. Now, that's something the legislature needs to address. But if we do get that funding back, I would certainly support a large portion of that going to making sure we can pay competitively to faculty and staff so we can offer world-class programs, even more so than we do now, to our students.
Mr. Klinko, you've had some experience with this.
So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to respond. The board heard the concerns of employees. That was why we went to the voters for the expenditure limit, so that we could make strategic investments into the employee salaries. Again, on average, each employee of the college on average received over 7% increase this year. The college during COVID didn't terminate a single employee because of the pandemic. We understood that the employees are the heart and soul of the institution, and that the economy affects our enrollment. It goes up and it goes down. And we knew that there would be huge swings of impact during the pandemic. But we also knew that when it comes back, we need to have those great educators there ready for students when they return. You know, I'm not sure what the future is going to bring in the next few years in the economy of our country, but I know that Pima College has really made transformational change over the last few years recognized by Harvard as one of the most innovative in the country, recognized by Forbes just last month as one of the top five employer in the state of Arizona. What I know is that no matter what comes in the economy, Pima College is prepared to respond with programs that will impact the students and residents of Pima County. We're going to continue to listen to the employees and we'll continue to make investments. I also want to point out that over the last 6 years, we haven't increased the cost of employee medical or RX benefits at all to our employees.
Thank you. Mr. Pearson, you get the last word on this question. Unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go. And that's a tough question because you have some people who will say that there's not enough transparency on the part of the administration. And then you've got others who will say that the administration is doing fine. So somewhere in the middle there is the right answer. I can bring to the board a balance. I'm not tilted one way or the other. I believe that the role of the governing board is a shared governance. The community and the students have to have their voice on the board, and I'm going to be that voice for the community and the students. This is a very important position, and you need somebody who's going to provide the balance and be able to look at all of the situations. As Teresa mentioned, the analytics are very important. We have to look at these tough decisions and make difficult decisions. And certainly what's going on now, there's some smoke there. So it's up to the board to set a policy that's going to get the college on the right direction. If you look at full-time students, we're probably at about 12,000 when you look at the full-time equivalent. So that's quite a bit of drop from the 2013 or 2014. So enrollment has to be a particular strategic area, and the way that we attract those students has to be the other focus.
Thank you all. Another question from the audience says, students encounter roadblocks in the admission process, enrollment systems, the website, etc. What are your ideas for addressing these admission problems at the college? And we'll begin with Mr. Taylor.
Thanks so much. So, it surprises me to hear that, an institution with, again, as much highly skilled workforce as Pima College has, that we'd be running into some of those basic issues like what's described. In my interactions with students and with voters, that's not a specific issue that was raised to me, but I think in terms of making sure that issues like that students are bringing forward, it really has to do with consensus building and inclusiveness at all levels. So, when the college is approaching an issue or rolling out a program or even evaluating its operations on a day-to-day basis, they need to include stakeholders from all levels, not only faculty and staff like we talked to a minute ago, but students and students from all walks of life and community members. And I do think that the college is committed to helping students overcome some of those roadblocks. It's not specific to the website, but the childcare program that Pima College just implemented is a great example of trying to find creative ways to help students be able to access the college. And again, think back to that value I mentioned of accessibility. If there's things that can be done differently for the website, I think doing, including students and focus group testing and making sure that they have a strong voice and is going to be incredibly important, and making sure that the board is listening to all those different groups to address those specific issues.
Thank you. Mr. Klinko.
So one of the most important things is hearing from the community. The board plays this really vital role in serving as the conduit between the public and the college. Again, like Mr. Taylor said, I haven't heard about these roadblocks. We redesigned and rebuilt the entire website specifically around these issues of enrollment, finding ways of removing barriers and blocks so that students would have a seamless path of entry into our college. I sat down and tried to enroll yesterday. It took about 35 minutes to go from beginning to end, and that included entering information for financial aid. This is an application to college, and there should be some rigorous level. I mean, there's federal federal documentation reporting that's required. The system can always be improved, and I'm excited to continue to work on solutions that will do that. Other things and other opportunities I think the college has is to meet students where they are. A good opportunity that we haven't implemented is enrolling every single graduate from a high school in Southern Arizona directly into Pima Community College when they graduate. Send them a letter of acceptance, and then work to get them into the pipeline. But the issue today is enrollment is not just about students graduating and enrolling into the college. It's about incumbent workers. It's about upskilling, reskilling. It's about 21st century learning, where individuals are being displaced from the jobs they have or looking for opportunities into new careers, and Pima College being able to have relevant programs in those areas to help move those individuals, again, from where they are to where they want to be.
Mr. Pearson.
Thank you. Yeah. The most important thing, and I have this as one of my tenets for being on the board, and that is that we need to provide excellent customer service. And a lot of times these technical features can be great, but at the end of the day, it's customer service. It's going to be that personal touch. You look at the pandemic, and a lot of the students have not done well doing online courses. So I think emphasizing customer service, that's going to be an enrollment for the students, and also in recruitment. Those are the areas, those touches, those personal touches are going to be making a world of difference in some of the areas that haven't been up to par in those areas. And I think that's where we need to excel, is at customer service, and that's going to eliminate those roadblocks, whether it's technical or whether it's hands-on. The customer service should be number one for recruitment and for getting students onboarded for enrollment.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ms. Real.
So once again, I think my experience at the college shows and says something different to some of the things I've been hearing. Faculty have always complained about the hardships of students to enroll and to register for classes, etc. Right before COVID hit, a young friend of mine needed help registering for the adult basic ed class. She needed to get her GED. And with my help, I was with her the entire time. We went to three different campuses, one of them twice, to get her enrolled. And it took over a day and a half to get everything completed. Now, if this student had to do it on her own, I am pretty sure she would have said, "Oh, forget it. It's too much of a hassle even to get into the system." So I do hear that there have been changes to the website. I don't know if it is good enough to make sure that we have the enrollment that we want. On the college's website, I was looking through numbers a couple of days ago, and I noticed that 4% and 8% of two of our high schools, Sunnyside and Cholla, their high school graduates actually enrolled at Pima College, and that's abysmal. I mean, hopefully all of the other students are going to other schools, but my guess is we're losing a lot of students. And I do think that some of the occupational ed programs are going to be a great option for some of those students who don't want to go to a two-year degree. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've been focusing a lot on the board. We have a question from the audience that says, how can the board effectively ensure that the chancellor is working and building consensus with employees when moving forward initiatives? And we'll begin with you, Mr. Klinko.
So the board has a very special collaborative relationship with the chancellor. The board hires the chancellor and annually sets the chancellor's goals and then monitors those goals throughout the year. The clearest and easiest way is to add this type of initiative, specifically around communication collaboration, to the chancellor's goals. That process is in place. That's something that could be implemented in the next month. But it's then the monitoring and making sure that the chancellor follows through in a way that is verifiable, that is data-driven, that allows the community and the board to understand and see that there is change happening. At the end of the year, the board evaluates the chancellor using those goals as the benchmark. And then we decide as a collective, as a group, I'm not It's the board in its totality decides whether or not to retain the chancellor, extend his contract, or continue on with the vision and the mission. Chancellor Lambert has brought a very clear and decisive vision to our community. He brought an idea of 21st century learning, the need for the college to revolutionize, to really align with industries, build centers of excellence, work to increase enrollment in the areas where there will be growth. You know this because of the data shows it. This is the job opportunity. This is where we have potential to grow our enrollment. The board's role in collaboration with the chancellor is what makes that work. If you seat a board whose opposition, then you'll see the vision and the future of the college falter.
Mr. Pearson.
Thank you. One of the functions of the board is oversight. So in certain cases, the board may need to provide oversight on what the chancellor is doing and direct the policy so that we have the desired outcomes. It's potential that there might be some oversight on some of the boards I've served on. We've had to provide oversight on the director because of failings in whatever areas. So our job as the board is to provide support and in those areas that are weak, and support also those areas that are strong so they can get stronger. But nobody's perfect, and in this case, that could be something that the board needs to do, is to provide some oversight and some additional direction and to improve on those areas, because ultimately the responsibility of the board is to the community and to the students and what's in their best interest.
Thank you. Ms. Rial.
I think the chancellor has done a lot of amazing things for the college, and he has 4 more years on his contract, and I think he should stay those 4 years. I think there is some, I can't think of the word right now. I think that the fact that the board gave him an evaluation last year that was at the median, and that's a good word, right smack dab in the middle of a 1 to 5 scale. And even though that was his evaluation, the board in November still gave him a significant raise. The chancellor has been given raises of a 20% raise since he was hired in 2013. And that's just on his base salary, not all the perks and the benefits that he receives above and beyond what other employees at the college receive. So I do think that this board has shown a little bit of lack of spine, let's just say, of doing their job of holding the chancellor accountable to the tasks at hand that he was supposed to do during the year. And lastly, he's gotten a raise every year since he's been here. Faculty and staff have not. And that is another thing that contributes to that whole feeling of safety and security at the college.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, you're up last.
Thank you. And, I think the most straightforward answer for whomever asked that question has already been stated, that the board's one employee at the college is the chancellor, and so the board sets the chancellor's goals and expectations for how he'll perform in that position, and then does the evaluation. So I won't spend all my time restating that. But I think the other thing that hasn't been said is what the board can do to model that behavior. So if we want the chancellor to be collaborative and we want him to work with different stakeholders, the board has to be right there with him. I mean, literally physically in those spaces in the community or in the college where you hear from students from all walks of life, or from faculty and staff, or from interested community partners or members of the business community that are working with the college. And so I think if the board can model that and then build that into the expectations and stay focused on the impact that it has on students and the importance of hearing all those voices and making sure all those folks don't just have a seat at the table, but can be part of the meal in the same way that everybody else can be, that will go a long way to shifting some of the perception and the reality of making sure the college administration and the chancellor is engaged and collaborative.
Very good. It looks like a lot of questions have to do with a perceived schism This question might put it best. What are your thoughts on this schism, I would say it wrong, that currently exists on the board, and how you might help resolve the current discord? We've seen that come up a lot, so I guess we'll end with this question. And Mr. Pearson, I'll have you start first.
Thank you. That is probably the thing that's been in the news the most in the recent weeks and months. You need somebody who's going to be collaborative, and you need somebody that can provide cohesion in the group. I've got a lot of experience in these areas, having grown up on the Indian reservations and on the border, and my military experience. So I've had to deal with situations that weren't, let's say, united. So you have to work to bring the sides together. And one of the ways to do that is through facts. And when you're working on a particular problem, if you provide good analysis and those numbers support your position, you're more likely to get that support from the other members of the board. And so I think that's probably one of the most important things is to have somebody on the board that's going to provide a balance and not be tilted to one side or the other, but to look at what's going to be in the best interests of the community and the students. And that's where I'm going to be is looking at all the information and making a decision based on what's best for the college.
Thank you so much. Ms. Rial.
Thank you. I think once again, if the board held the college to a higher level of accountability and transparency, I think that there would not be as many 3-2 splits on the board. I think if everybody understood exactly what the college was wanting to do, and if the board could talk about those in a respectful and reasonable manner with each other, I think a lot of those 3-2 decisions might not go that way, especially if they're promoting transparency and accountability with the college. I have always been the type of person that can get along with everybody and anybody. And I think that it's really important, especially on boards, to be careful about putting down other board members, because the board is a unified concept. It's not 5 people individually, they're working together. And if they're not working together, it's very, very obvious. And it concerns, concerns students, it concerns voters. And of course, it's also concerning to the HLC, the Higher Learning Commission.
Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one thing I didn't mention earlier, but, I've worked in healthcare administration for 15 years. And, in my daily life, I work with healthcare providers across the state of Arizona. We work with elected officials across the state of Arizona, community-based social service nonprofits across the state of Arizona. And if you ask somebody what you need to do to make the communities healthier, you get a different answer from everybody. And so working with people that have different opinions and different perspectives is something that's very normal for me. And I'm looking forward to being able to do that. The biggest issue I see in relation to this on the board is figuring out how to disagree without being disagreeable. There's so much personal vitriol that comes across in those meetings that has nothing to do with students. It has nothing to do with making sure the college is more accessible or people are able to have better careers. And so we need to figure out a way to get past that. And I'm not worried about myself in that role. I mean, I haven't been part of that going forward. And so, I hope we can start fresh with my fellow board members. But, there are some deeply troubling things that are going on, and we do have to have some minimum expectations for board members. Now, nobody on this call today, but we have members on this board that have been found to have had multiple open meeting law violations. And so there does have to be basic standards of conduct and basic expectations that we all have to meet. And I can guarantee if I'm privileged enough to be on the board, that I certainly will uphold those and try to build the most consensus-driven and collaborative decisions that we can.
And we'll end with you, Mr. Klinko.
Thank you very much. You know, well over 90% of the votes that the board takes are unanimous. It's only on a few key areas that we don't agree. But that's the democratic process. We've elected members of our community to serve on a body, and we're sometimes split 40 to 60, and that's significantly better than the US Senate. So, you know, at the end of the day, we are making decisions collectively as a group and voting on those decisions that we see in the best interest of the community. And those decisions are paying dividends. The college was named as one of the most innovative community colleges in the country by Harvard, named as one of the top 5 employers by Forbes. The Bellwether College Consortium continually nominates the programs that the college is developing as some of the most innovative in the country. The work that the board is doing is for students, for our community, for Southern Arizona, for our future. And it's really collectively coming together and having a discussion at the table and a debate and then voting is how we move forward. If everything was decided on a unanimous vote, it would certainly make the world a better place, but it certainly wouldn't be the democracy of America. So, you know, I'm really proud of the decisions that the board has made over the last 7 years during my tenure. And I look forward to hopefully continuing on to continue providing insight and my perspective on those decisions.
Well, thank you all. I'm so impressed. I know the audience is going to have a hard time voting in this particular election. It's now time for each of you to give your 1-minute closing speech, and we'll begin with you, Mrs. Rial.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the League of Women Voters offering us this opportunity to talk to the voters in the county. I'd also like to say thanks to PCCEA, the faculty union, to PALF, Pima Area Labor Federation, and to AFSCME. These are 3 unions that care about my colleagues at the college, and they have also supported me greatly through this first time experience of me going through this political campaign. I am unapologetically outspoken about issues that affect the college. And I just want to say that 3 that I've talked about since January, the decrease in enrollment, faculty and staff not getting serious raises, and the 20 student counselors that were fired a couple of years ago. All 3 of those issues the college has made an impact on. And if I can do that while I'm campaigning, imagine what I could do when I am elected to the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time tonight. You know, at the end of the day, for me, this is about the students at the college. If we can keep Pima College moving in the direction it's moving, keep up the momentum to make sure it stays affordable, accountable, and accessible to as many students as possible. That's what I'm here for. You know, I'm not a politician. You know, I've worked in the business community for a long time. This is, for me, is about community service. It's an opportunity to be part of a meaningful, pivotal, foundational institution that is Pima Community College, and make sure it's as successful as we possibly can be. It's not a stepping stone, you know, and so in the same spirit of community service that I've been on the Children's Museums Board, the American Heart Association, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tucson, and several others, that's how I'm going to approach this to make sure we can keep the college affordable, accessible, and accountable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Klinko.
Thank you. You know, I've spent my entire professional career working to make Tucson and Southern Arizona a better place to live, to work, and to raise a family. The last 7 years serving on the Pima Community College Board has been such an honor. It's important to remember that we're not graduating statistics. We're graduating people who have bills to pay, who have families to support, who have big dreams. One of the most rewarding parts of this job is watching graduates walk across the stage to receive diplomas and into life-changing, exciting, well-paid careers. Pima College is building a better community, and I'm committed to fulfilling that promise. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity tonight. Thank everyone who joined us for this important conversation, and a special thank you to the staff, faculty, and administrators who work day in and day out to make PCC the premier community college in this state and in this nation. I ask for your vote this November so we can build a bright future for PCC and Southern Arizona together.
Thank you. And Mr. Pearson, you get the last word.
Thank you, Dee. The college right now is at a crossroads, and it's going to require someone who has the experience and can build consensus across the board and across all lines in the college. My life experiences have prepared me for this role, from my military experience to my family experience. And this is something that I'm doing not because I want a badge, but because I want to make a better future for our children and grandchildren. I feel that there's a lot of young adults that are falling through the cracks, and I believe that Pima Community College can reach out and bring those in and help them prepare themselves for a better future. So I'm asking for your vote here in the November 8th election, and I will serve you proudly as your District 4 Pima Community College Governing Board member. Thank you.
I want to thank all the candidates and particularly the audience for attending.